So hey guys, today we're going to be talking about video ideas and stuff that I just didn't really go through with. So, if any of them sound really interesting to you guys, uh, feel free to try them, I guess. But first thing, I guess, this is probably the big one. So, the main reason I didn't do this one is because, well, I didn't really feel like playing on a manual sim, and no one I told about this idea really felt like playing on manual sim either, but general idea is I was going to call this little format probably just art of the cards, and the reasoning for this is because everyone here is going to be essentially the main protagonist. So this is simply going to be the format, right? So for our opening hand, we're not going to just open 5 cards. We're going to literally handpick 5 cards for our starting hand. And that's going to be our starting hand because we're clearly the protagonist. You know, we just have the optimal hand. Every single card we need to win the duel, right? And instead of drawing for turn, you just straight up pretty much cheat and you add a card from deck to your hand. Yes, I am definitely drawing here. I will just draw exactly into Super Poly. How inconspicuous. And that was kind of the idea behind that format. And there's also other little things like if we're rolling a die, every single option, well, it doesn't really matter. You pretty much pick what the die is going to hit because you are simply the protagonist. You know, everything will definitely go your way no matter how unlikely. And if we're going to be drawing, let's say we have a card that says draw 2, like Pot of Greed, we're not drawing 2 cards, we're adding 2 cards from our deck to the hand. And if a card were to say something like mill 5 cards, we're not milling 5 cards. We're foolish burialing 5 cards. There is going to be no RNG here in this format. And this, I think, would have been kind of interesting because, for starters, aspects to deck building are going to change drastically here. So, for example, normally, if I were playing, I don't know, let's go with, for example, Hero. Sure, why not? So, normally for Hero, I would play maybe like we'll say 3 Stratos, and then we'll need well, Hero is just annoying to find, but we would normally play 3 Stratos, but maybe I could get away with playing like 1 or 2 Stratos, and I would go to 60 cards because there is no disadvantage to being at 60 cards because it just gives me more options for things I can quote unquote draw. And then there's also the aspect of powerful staples and blowout cards and how to deal with those and what may or may not be the optimal strategy, right? And if floodgates were broken, I guess we could just gentlemen not to play floodgates, like, I don't know, like set skill drain pass. But I mean, granted, I can literally just add to my hand for a turn red reboot, and you can't necessarily go too hard off. You can't go off too hard with a combo necessarily because I can kind of set up my going second hand to just be very hand trap heavy with maybe like 1 starter or something for next turn, or I can just add the starter directly to my hand next turn. And it starts getting kind of nuanced and complicated like that, which I particularly like, but I mean, yeah, just never ended up happening, never ended up doing this. So anyone who just wants to kind of like take this format from me, I mean, go ahead, try it out. Seems fine to me. Could be fun, I guess, right? So next thing on the list is we have Royal Foil, I guess. So the main reason why I just dropped Royal Foil is the main boss monster in that deck was actually Chaos Ruler. And Chaos Ruler, as you all know, is banned. So yeah, they banned my boss monster essentially. And this was essentially just Masochist on crack. You know, this was, well, this was made before Masochist, but yeah, this is pretty brutal. So essentially, I'm pulling from the Master Pack only, and there are no other real specific rules here, except the important one is the only cards I'm allowed to play are going to be either foils or royals. And the goal, of course, was to hit the highest rank. I mean, yeah. Part of this was made just if you guys can pick up on it, it was satirical a bit because I didn't actually intend to actually ever complete the challenge because it was so absurd. It was kind of dumb. I mean, it would have been hype if I actually did it, but yeah, that's just not going to happen, basically, right? So, I mean, just throwing myself at a wall and kind of having very low quality duels. I mean, maybe that would be entertaining, but yeah, I just kind of gave up on that. But I mean, yeah, it's pretty rough to play just in general because I might get, for example, I don't know, let's say I actually do get Kushtira Fenrir, for example, or like whatever Kushtira, these are usually pretty good, right? Except, oh, it wasn't a royal or a foil Fenrir, you know? And then you get a solid depression for a solid 3 seconds. You kind of adapt, I guess, but you get a solid amount of depression, like, oh, I, this is a great card, but I just can't play it. In fact, I think I have Rescue Rabbit on that account. So yeah, that's part of the reason why I haven't made another Royal Foil and kind of given up on that. There was a point where I hadn't completely given up on it, but around like when Chaos Ruler was banned, that's probably when I gave up on that, I guess. And then aside from that, technically it's not like Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's actually more League of Legends. I mean, I did spend a lot of time playing League of Legends, like just in the past, and I have a lot of things to say about it, like the game negatively, and there are mechanics I could kind of like share and aspects of gameplay that are not like so usually discussed, like or commonly discussed about League, which I was thinking of sharing some of those concepts to maybe help be well, I could have a few viewers maybe that play League of Legends still because I used to post League like way back when, like a little bit. It wasn't that much, but yeah. I do have like at least one or two friends, I think, that still play League. Now, I don't know how many still actively play because I haven't logged in a long time, so not 100% sure about that, but that's just a thing I could do, I guess. And they're pretty timeless kind of concepts, I think, so we could share some of that, I suppose. And then another video that I don't know if I will still make this one or not, but we can probably use math to just prove exactly where Max E stands in comparison to other hand traps to see if it genuinely is unfair. Because the word unfair suggests that Max E gives your opponent some kind of, well, advantage over you. So if we, well, let's just use Googling us for a quick definition for unfair. So, unfair, not based on or behaving according to the principles of equality and justice, not following the rules of a game or a sport. And yeah, by that definition, is Maxi really unfair? I don't know. We'd have to break down the math to see because genuinely, I think if we're asking if a card is unfair, we can undoubtedly use math to prove if it is unfair or not. But if you genuinely still dislike a card regardless of if it's unfair or not, that is entirely a different topic, and I kind of want to get into that in maybe a different video. Because like a lot of people just kind of sling out that, oh, I hate this card, or this card is unfair, and a lot of people just straight up complain about like this card, that card, and whatnot, right? And I mean, sometimes I can agree with it, sometimes I just can't. But like opinions are opinions, right? And then sometimes what you're saying is genuinely just what I might argue is not an opinion. Like if we want to say, for example, I don't know, like we'll take this card here, for example, Blue Eyes White Dragon, but specifically the vanilla one with no context. If I said this card was unfair, right? It would not be very hard to mathematically prove exactly why Blue Eyes White Dragon, or even worse, we have like a non-archetype supported vanilla monster. Like we'll go with Cosmo Queen, actually, sure. And I can go over why in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! This card is complete garbage and it's not really disputable. Right? So the thing about Maxi is no one has really gone ahead as far as I can tell, or since I've last checked at least, no one's really gone out of their way to kind of get all the math on Maxi done to figure out like how fair or unfair it is. And to do that, it requires more math than just math on Maxi. You have to do math for a bunch of different hand traps and then compare them. I think that's the only fair kind of way to do it. But yeah, just because someone like, if you feel it's unfair, maybe it's not necessarily true, and there could be other factors at play. So I'm not saying this is 100% the case, but unironically, it could be a skill issue, and you could just be calling a really bad play. So I do have a few example replays that can show case like why Maxi is just a really bad card in the sense that it's just not really good to open here, and in fact you might have lost because you simply had Maxi in hand. But yeah, those are a few ideas, and I think we had maybe one more. I don't know. Well, yeah, I think these were the big ideas though that I just basically gave up on for one reason or another. And I don't know if I'll ever kind of play or mess around with these ideas again. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do on manual sim that I think are pretty interesting. But yeah, I don't know if I'll ever bother playing on manual sim. I am kind of spoiled by Master Duel a little bit. But I guess to end out this video, I'll just start talking about, I don't know, some bugs that I've encountered in Master Duel that are genuinely bugs. So I haven't seen as many recently, and sometimes I can't even tell if this is how like a ruling's supposed to work. So one of these examples where I'm just not sure how any of this resolves is if we have Gishtira preparations, and then things go kind of wacky with how Gishtira preparations just works. But all right. So with some bugs in early Yu-Gi-Oh, or specifically Master Duel, we had specifically this one, Chicken Game. Well, it doesn't really matter, but Chicken Game was respondable, so you could Ash Chicken Game. But this line right here, neither player can activate cards or effects in response to this effect's activation. For whatever reason, this is on Chicken Game, and it just didn't work. So yeah, you could Ash Chicken Game. Yeah, not a whole lot more to say about that, but at the start of Master Duel, this was just the case. And then in terms of other things you could Ash Blossom that you shouldn't have been able to, we have Cherubini, Eben Angel of the Burning Abyss. I don't know if this was the case for any other cards, but I don't have footage of this happening either. But I've like talked with other players, I believe, about this, and I believe they were talking about it too. But all right, Cherubini, Eben Angel of the Burning Abyss. So the effect here, it sends specifically for cost. And when I started out playing Master Duel, I just genuinely had no idea about cost or effect, of course, because it's definitely not covered in the tutorial. But anyways, yeah, it sends for cost a monster. So level 3 monster doesn't really matter what gets sent here, really, but you could Ash this for some reason. So this was weird because Ash did kind of work on Cherubini. So the effect you would negate is the effect to gain attack, but you shouldn't be able to negate it anyways because it's not an effect that does anything listed on Ash Blossom Yugioh Spring because it sends for cost. So yeah, that's genuinely a bug right there. And then let's see. There should be one more that I can't remember too well right now. But let's see. Oh yeah, I remember another one. I'm not even sure if this is supposed to work this way or if it'll work this way now, but Link Rebo was also bugged, I believe. I'm not sure if it still works now or if it's supposed to work like this. But if we have Link Rebo and we have Utopia. So let's specifically grab the correct Utopia here. Make sure we find him. My blindness is really kicking in here. Okay, there we go. Ultimate Leo Utopia Ray. So let's assume we have a Zexal weapon equipped to Ultimate Leo Utopia Ray. And then we go ahead and use Ultimate Leo Utopia Ray's effect here, right? So, this effect. Quick effect, you can target one effect monster your opponent controls, negate its effects, and if you do, halve its attack. So you can use this effect on Link Rebo, and then Link Rebo, if it tributes itself, it will actually still reduce Ultimate Leo Utopia Ray's attack, and I believe this also applied to Shiranui Solitaire. So if we were to either Imperm or Veiler, I'm not 100% sure which one it was, or if it was both, because it was definitely one of them. If you Impermed Solitaire, it did actually nothing, and Solitaire would still resolve normally, being able to summon whatever. So the correct play would be to, well, in this case, if you're playing against Zombie World, it would be to just simply Imperm or Veiler the Uni Zombie, and then it would functionally just work the same from there. Which is weird, because if you actually knew how the game worked, right, you would never tribute the Solitaire after it gets hit by like an Imperm or Veiler, so you would never actually know this bug would work, right? So that's Shank. I mean, all this is ironed out, but I have one more bug that I remember, which was like really weird. But all right, we have Zombie Master. So for some reason, when I had literally nothing I could possibly target in the graveyard, Zombie Master was actually activatable, right? There was no legal target, I believe, for Zombie Master, but then after my opponent hits me with Ash Blossom Joe Spring, well, I wasn't locked into anything because all I did was like normal summon Zombie Master pretty much. After my opponent hit me with the Ash Blossom Joe Spring, weirdly enough, I just couldn't activate Zombie Master anymore. So yeah, that was weird. But the thing is, we have the effect reading. We can just read this out here. Once per turn, you can send one monster from your hand to the graveyard, so I definitely had another monster to send. Then target one level 4 or lower zombie monster in either graveyard, so either graveyard. So my opponent has an Ash Blossom Joe Spring, which is a level 3 zombie monster in their graveyard, so I'd be able to target and special summon that in theory. This monster must be face up on the field to activate and resolve this effect. This isn't negated or anything, and even if it was negated, I should be able to activate Zombie Master, but it just stopped glowing randomly. Just, okay, I couldn't activate Zombie Master anymore. And I lost that duel because I was using Zombie Master for my combos in that deck, so just depression. So yeah, I don't think that was like long enough to make it its own video, like all of those bugs and whatnot. But yeah, I don't think I remember any more bugs, and I think that was all the ones I encountered in early Master Duel. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. And if you'd like to see any of those video ideas, I might do them if you guys really want to see them, but I can't guarantee I would like make a full series out of them or anything like that. So yeah. Oh right, I forgot. There was also one other series that I got like dropped on this channel that I just haven't done in a while. So it's essentially why you should play, actually. And the reason behind that is that I simply don't have a deck I wanted to recommend for quite a while. So yeah, that's that. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.